Chapter 28, Texel by Wim Hof. I woke this morning to the sound of whistling birds outside my window, singing a beautiful sonnet comprised of their own chirps and tweets. The time was 4 a.m. It was a windy day in March, but the skies remained clear. I started the day off with my normal breathing exercises, followed by a period of meditation. As I went through my normal routine, I became filled with vigor. Life is wonderful, I thought, when you are disconnected from stress and emotion. On this day, Manelli, Marnix, one of his cameramen, and myself took a ferry to the island of Texel. I was in Texel the prior year to do a workshop, and they asked me to return to do a follow-up. Texel is an island just north of Den Helder. It's a marine base that's located at the shore's end of Holland. The workshop took place in a non-heated stable. The location was empty, save for the participants, and the sheep as our witnesses. Jap, the organizer of the workshop, opened the session by welcoming everyone. After a short speech, he passed the torch off to me. It was my turn. The cold has the potential to boost your energy levels, I said. It can give you a certain type of energy that can fill your body and make you whole. The group formed a circle around me, and I became the center of attention. I then explained my breathing exercises and the possibilities that they can open up. You are an open book. Begin to experience the content of the story and try to understand where your life is and where it's going. Each day is a new chapter with new opportunities awaiting you. The stable was really chilly. I could tell that the 15 people surrounding me would begin to suffer if we did not do something soon. So to conserve everyone's energy, I led them outside and began exercising. The grass was soft and the wind was blowing cool air. Soon after we started exercising, I asked them to sit down on the mats that they had brought with them and begin the breathing exercises. After several minutes of breathing exercises, I asked them to perform push-ups. First, I had them try doing push-ups while retaining air in their lungs. Then I had them try doing push-ups with no air in their lungs. Some were able to do as many as 80 push-ups with air in their lungs, while others were able to do 50 push-ups with no air in their lungs. The problem with the push-ups is that the exercise doesn't really warm the body. Therefore, I encouraged everyone to move around by jogging in place. In time, everyone had completely adjusted to the cold. At that point, the cold was no longer a problem. Instead, we were having a fun time doing all the different types of playful movements. I told them that this is the type of feeling I get when I expose myself to extreme colds. If the body is trained, anyone is capable of playing in the cold for an extended period of time. Remember, practicing gradual exposure can lengthen the amount of time that you can stay in the cold. After the movement session in the windy pasture, we took a break. I took the time to explain this story to them. Last week, I was on a television show where blindfolded psychics had to guess who I was. I was located in the Rotterdam container terminal. It was a chilly evening, and the wind was strong. It was my job to judge which psychic did the best. When they all finished their presumptions, I would score them and present it to the cameras. After an hour of them walking around me and trying to figure out who I was asked to go inside of a temperature-controlled container of negative 28 degrees Celsius, negative 18.4 degrees Fahrenheit. I had to stay in there for 10 minutes wearing only shorts. It was the psychic's goal to find me. The tricky part was that there were thousands of containers in the terminal. They needed to use their senses to locate exactly where I was. I prepared myself mentally before going into that container. I knew that it would be extremely cold, so I prepared my body for that. Soon after entering, my body began to shield the cold away from my core. I had lit the fire within myself. Next to my container was a heated car. Every 10 minutes, they were supposed to open the container and let me go in and warm up. However, I didn't need to leave the container. I was completely comfortable. I stayed in the container for a full hour. After the hour, I stepped out of the container and felt a warm breeze brush against my skin. You may ask, why did the cold wind feel so warm against your skin, Wim? Well, when I was in the cold, my body adapted to the temperature of the chilled container. It became more alert and willing to change with the environment. When I got out, the air felt warmer because my skin temperature had adjusted to the temperature on the inside of the container. The workshop participants nodded with excitement. Soon after, we all left to travel to the beach of the North Sea, where we would go for a cold swim. The wind on the beach was frigid, and the water itself was 2 degrees Celsius, 35.6 degrees Fahrenheit. In their minds, they knew what they had to do, but their body was telling them a different story. Despite the strong avoidance responses that their bodies were giving them, they seemed determined to jump in and get it over with. We all went into the water together. After the initial shock was over, they all seemed very calm. We began splashing waves at each other and swimming around comfortably. With the right direction and enough energy, anyone is capable of doing this. After a few minutes, we all left the water and returned to the beach to get dressed in our clothing. But before anyone could begin changing, I shouted, "That exercise was just the beginning." Before anyone could figure out what I was talking about, I took off running. Although they were dazed at first, within seconds they had begun to chase after me. Each was running in their bathing suit, barefooted through the cold sand. With each step, the sand sucked the heat away from their feet. After 5 minutes of running, I saw 5 people become red with an explosion of warm blood flowing through them. This was my goal. I wanted their bodies to readapt to the new cold environment. For those 5 people, it was a success. With this type of adaptation, you can last much longer in the cold. It's a natural reaction. We're all capable of it. My methods may have been unorthodox, but these people were able to see what their bodies were capable of. Each one had experienced the power of the cold. Hey Jap, if you're out there, thanks for the opportunity to teach these wonderful people. I'd also like to thank the participants there from the bottom of my heart for their patience and endurance during my instructions. Thank you for looking past your limits.